I'm interviewing Nick Butler of the Lennox School Board and also Lieutenant of the Sioux Falls Police Department. Segment is to help bring recognition and appreciation to the digital age and what we take for granted. Digital age is what we currently live in, and the world around us filled with technology and how it's impacted the daily lives around us. So, Nick, can you walk me through your career path and how you ended up where you are today?
Sure. So I've been in law enforcement for about 24 years. Um, got hired in Dodge City, Kansas. And my wife Tiffany and I moved down there simply for the job. We both got our career starts in Kansas and eventually uh, desired to get back up into the South Dakota, Iowa area where we're both from. So I've been with the Sioux Falls Police Department since November of 2005. I've been started as a patrol officer, as everybody does. Had I was on the street crimes unit, which is a gang and violent crime task force. From there, I went to the Detective Bureau. I spent a little bit of time as a crimes against persons detective, where I investigated homicides, assaults, sexual assaults, those types of violent crimes. And then I spent about 2.5 years working in a undercover capacity as a narcotics detective, buying drugs and doing things that are pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. And then I spent the next 6 years, right about 6 years, as a canine handler. I had a canine partner named Dorak. He was a dual purpose dog. He uh, searched for and found illegal narcotics, and then also searched for and apprehended violent criminals as well. Was promoted to sergeant from that position and worked on patrol again as a sergeant, and then went to the training section and was the sergeant in the training section where we hired and trained all the new officers from the department, and also did in-service training for current officers. From there, was promoted again to lieutenant, was a patrol lieutenant on a couple different shifts, and then went back to the Detective Bureau as the lieutenant over the Crimes Against Persons section. So I supervised the sergeants and the detectives who investigated those violent crimes. And then for the last about 2 years, a little over 2 years, I've been the professional standards lieutenant, which is, I guess, like on TV, they call it internal affairs, right? So we make sure that our cops are doing the right thing, and when we make mistakes, we hold each other accountable, investigate allegations against police officers. And then I also supervise the public information officer, which is the person that does our media briefings, interacts with the media, controls our social media accounts, and that type of thing. And then I've been on the school board for the last, it's been 6 years about. Got 2 years left in my term on the school board. So
Yep, that's good to hear. So now to like the digital age and technology part. At what point in your job did you start noticing that technology was influencing the way you work or live?
well, um, when I first was hired as a police officer, we didn't have computers in the cars, or we didn't have body cameras. We didn't have any of that. So I'm not, I mean, I don't feel like I'm that old, but we did, when we get a dispatch to a call, we'd have a pad and a paper and we'd write down where we were going. We'd take notes and that type of thing. Um, Fast forward a few years, we have computers in the cars. The dispatchers take the calls uh, from people that are calling 911. The calls show up on our screens in our cars. We can see who's calling. We can see where we're going. There's a map that shows us how to get there. Um, which, we type all of our reports in the computer. We don't have to go back to the station and type our reports. Everything that we do is recorded on a body camera. Each car has 4 cameras in it: forward facing, rear facing, back seat, front seat. We're testing technology that is, our body cameras actually do. Uh, there's a couple different things that they'll do. They'll do a translate, so they'll live uh, real-time translate Spanish, or I can't remember how many different languages there are, so we can communicate in real time with the people that we're trying to help. The other cool feature is that when we get back to the car, a report will already be written by AI. So it's detecting what we're saying, can determine several different voices, and it will write a report, summarize everything that we just did based on the conversations that we've had without having to actually do anything. Obviously, there's checks and balances there to make sure that it's accurate, but that's pretty cool. So that's, the technology has really worked towards making what we're doing more efficient. We also give people an opportunity to file their own reports, so that minor crimes like a purse theft or something like that, a minor accident, people can fill that out using an app on their phone, and it doesn't take an officer to respond, leaving officers available for more important tasks.
Good to hear. And then what do you think is like the biggest strength of technology coming in the future for, let's say, your work?
I think it's mostly efficiency, and what we're doing. There's always going to, in my profession, there's always going to be the need for human officers to make decisions, right? When you show up to an active shooter scene, there's no technology that's going to tell you to make you brave enough to go in and face the people that are dangerous, right? But what it can do is it can help us respond to that location in the most efficient manner, right? By using AI and different technologies, telling us where road closures are, making sure that we're getting there as fast as possible. Our SWAT team, for example, uses an app that maps out where each person is live, so we can get a good perimeter, so we can track movements of the different officers, so we're not facing a friendly fire situation in a critical incident. So I think as those technologies grow, it's going to make us safer, it's going to make us more efficient, and in the end, that benefits not only the police officers, but it benefits the public as well.
Yeah. And then kind of to the other side of that, is there any scare in technology in the future that you see, or like the biggest thing that might be hazardous to you?
Well, I think one thing that I've noticed is that, because so there's just like in everything, there's different generations of people doing the same job, right? So I guess, like I said in the beginning of our conversation, I was kind of the mindset of writing things down, making sure I had good notes so I could go back and do it later. Because you had to use those notes to write your reports, and reports are a big part of law enforcement. So what we're seeing now is I would say sort of a downward slide in the way that reports are written, grammar, spelling, because there's so much reliance on the technology to fix it for you. And there's a lot of times it works, but there's a lot of words that make sense in a sentence, but they're not necessarily what you are intending to say, right? Yeah. And our reports and the accuracy of our reports are paramount, because it's not just writing for a recollection, we're writing for court. An incorrect report can lead to a not guilty verdict in a trial. So my concern is that we're sort of stepping away from actually understanding some of those basic skills, because we're relying on technology. But overall, I think technology is going to be a positive. It has been a positive. There's just always downsides to some of that.
Yeah. And then kind of like a scenario, let's say you like lose all of your technology for a day at work. Can you kind of walk me through how much that would impact your everyday?
Sure. That happens, with every computer system. There's always things that happen, right? It's because we're so heavily based on computers specifically. We have to have backup systems in order to still be effective at work. So the big thing is, one of the biggest things is going to be, like you said, reports. So people are still going to have to know how to take those effective notes. We have paper reports that basically are a hard copy outline of what we would put in the digital report. So everybody's required to carry those along just in case. Um, you know, Sioux Falls is not the biggest city in the world, but there's a lot of streets. And so finding your way place to place can be challenging if you don't have a map to help you. When I first started, I would cut the maps out of the back of a phone book and then I would laminate them, and then you would be able to find your way like to the general area and then track yourself back to where you need to go. That's a real trick if you don't have an extra backup map, but that's a real reality. So
Yeah, and then to your role on the school board, how important is technology to like a smaller community like Lennox, like streaming and such?
I think um, I think technology is important to everybody, regardless of
Mhm.
the size of the district, the size of the job, and I see our teachers again becoming more efficient. Our students are have opportunities, to when Tristan was first going to school, he didn't they didn't have computers right away, right? So he was doing
Mhm.
things at school, and then everybody ended up getting a laptop as they got a little older, and it's easier access to everything, access to the teachers, access to the assignments, keeping track of your grades, being organized. I think it's a benefit all the way around. And I think our teachers are doing a good job of adapting to that, and so are the students.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all I got for you to keep it nice,
Okay.
short and sweet. So
All right.
thanks for joining me.
Yeah. Thanks for asking me. Appreciate it.